Welcome to the Oddity Shop, where the bizarre is always on sale.
Welcome back, you oddballs. This is the Oddity Shop. I'm Kara with my wonderful best friend in the whole entire world, Zach.
Hello.
Your face for a second was like, I don't even know what to say. Hello.
Hello. You're one of my best friends too. I love doing that to you. No, truly, you are one of the best
That's
people. There's nobody else who I would record 45 freaking episodes with. This is episode 45, dude.
45, baby. We say it all the time, but I can't believe it. I'm to the point where I can't say that I can't believe it anymore because I do believe it. Because we keep doing it.
We keep coming back week after week to tell you creepy, odd, mysterious, haunted, paranormal, just kind of a little bit out there, sometimes dark and twisted stories.
And you guys keep coming back, which is great.
Yes, you do. And also thank you to everyone who's coming back, because last month, we're just going to have a little humble brag. We had our best month of listens ever.
We did.
And seriously, though, from the bottom of our heart, thank you. I remember when we started, we're like, okay, maybe we'll get like 10 episodes or 10 listens per episode or whatnot.
We were just preparing ourselves for the worst.
Right. We've had almost 5,000 total listens, and that is mind blowing to me that you guys want to listen. So thank you so much.
It's so weird.
So weird. All right. Well, what's going on in your life, Kara?
You guys came over on whatever day we came over, Sunday fun day. And then Monday I had an eye appointment. I had to get my eyeballs dilated. That was not fun. I walked into a wall and I pretty much did nothing for 2 days straight. And it was actually wonderful. I really needed it. I literally just laid on the couch.
Sometimes you do just need that. Like, you had just been traveling for like a week and everything.
Well, that's what I mean. I was like with traveling and it's been busy and then like got back to work and just like it was really great to just have 2 nice days. And not that I want it to be like completely cloudy and rainy during the summer, but both of those days were cloudy, rainy days. So it was perfect. I just sat, I watched me some ghost shit,
There you go.
Some Sam and Colby, some Twin Paranormal. And I had a great 2 days.
Nice.
What about you, boo-boo?
Not a whole lot. In real time, right? I just had, right before Sunday Fun Day with you, I had a nice like Detroit and Ferndale day with Nick and saw Lauren and Danny. By the time everyone else has listened to this, because we're ahead, I'm about to start the summer fun. So I think I'll actually be in the woods up in the Upper Peninsula when this episode comes out, doing a nice camping trip. Maybe I'll get to run into a cryptid or two.
A bat squatch?
I wish. I've got that Cedar Point trip coming up. I feel I'm in like this lull, and then, like I said, it's going to be well past it when you listen, but 4th of July too. So got a lot of stuff coming. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. And then soon after this, we'll be at Paracon.
3 weeks from the air date of this episode. It's coming.
I'm so stoked.
I'm so excited. It's ridiculous. I also think that, because you and I have been talking about getting matching tattoos for a long time, while we're up at Paracon, we need to go get our matching tattoos.
So I think we're going to do protection, right?
Yeah. So the Viking runic symbols for protection. I want to get mine on my middle finger, right on the knuckles, so that when I flip people off,
I do too.
I am also protected.
I literally was thinking the middle one.
Right? Just protect me from your negative energy.
Wait, do you want to do upper or lower?
Oh, lower.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Cool. It's decided. We're going to do it.
Well, we will do it, but...
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready to get into it? Yeah, I was going to say, we'll keep it nice and short. I don't know. I have 2 ways I might want to ask you this question.
Okay.
Do you want me to ask it in a boring way where your answer might just be no? Or do you want me to ask it in a sort of how would you rather sort of way?
How uncomfortable am I going to be?
Not very.
Okay, ask it in the not boring way.
Okay. So...
I might regret this.
If a plant were to kill you...
Oh, God. What plant do I want? I know.
What plant do you want, and how do you want to go?
Okay, this reminds me of the Goosebumps episode. Wasn't he, like, in the basement? Do you know what I'm talking about? Or was that Are You Afraid of the Dark?
That actually might be.
Are You Afraid of the Dark was more of the fucked up shit.
I think that one might be Are You Afraid of the Dark, though. You're getting it mixed up with there was like a green zombie-like creature reaching its hand out of the basement in Goosebumps.
No, but
you know what? He was a plant, wasn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't like a plant.
You know what? You
like
are
the
right.
dad
You're
was
right.
A plant. All right. Well, okay. Okay, it has to be something viney, like some sort of viney trailing, like a pothos or a philodendron, something viney. And then it's gonna like, I'll be like laying on the couch, just like chilling. And then it would like crawl up my leg and like wrap it around.
So you want like
me.
Jumanji style?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. I'd probably pick something a little quicker, but I guess there's no way that plants kill that is quick.
Okay, what are you picking?
I'd probably go like the Venus flytrap route, just because those are my
like a huge,
favorite.
large one that just eats
just
you?
chomps real
Do you
quick.
have one?
Not any longer, sadly. We'll talk about him later, though. I have a shout out to my old plant.
To my old
Okay,
plant.
obviously though, like I'm a crazy plant person. I love plants. I also really love
we both
carnivorous
are.
plants. Okay, like I've been obsessed with them since I was a child.
They're so mind-blowing to me.
Right? So in case you haven't guessed it so far, this week we're going to be talking about killer Flora and Fungus.
Oh my god.
I tried to pick, Venus flytrap is actually not on the list. I tried to pick some things like that most people may not have heard of before, and some of this is just absolutely wild. So, obviously like most plants, pretty harmless. They add beauty to nature. But we got some cold-blooded killers out there.
I was going to say, would you say that there's more non-dangerous plants than dangerous?
Okay, so that's where we're going to have to break it down, because I thought long and hard how I was going to do this episode. So nothing in this episode is a you eat it and it kills you. This is all plants that kill to grow.
Okay.
These are...
I'm here for it.
Are like meat-eating plants and fungus, because some fungus aren't plants, actually. So they're fungus.
Yeah, they're creepy.
But, we see it dramatized in movies. Like we were just talking about Jumanji. You got Little Shop of Horrors, one of my favorites. The Happening.
Oh, yeah.
Although that one was like more psychological warfare. The plants were killing people.
Maybe I never saw that.
It was an M. Night Shyamalan one, where everyone was killing themselves because of something that was in the air, and it turned out it was the plants because people were killing the earth. Sorry for anybody who hasn't seen that movie. You just got spoiled. But anyway, whenever you in movies and media and stuff, when you have like a killer plant, it's super dramatized. This is going to be a little bit less, but I'm going to try to break it down to like what happens down at their level. And it's actually terrifying. Right?
Yeah, it is really creepy.
These plants can actually be classified as predators, which is funny too, because some of the things on here vegans eat, and technically they're not even vegan.
Don't go to the vegans. They'll kill us all.
All right, so we're going to start with one. Let me ask you this. Did you get into this year on HBO The Last of Us?
No, I refused.
Okay. So it's, yet again, another zombie thing. It's based off of a video game. The video game came out in 2013. The show, I guess, is pretty heart-wrenching. The game I actually played, I haven't watched the show. I think I cried while playing this game.
Yeah, I wasn't going to put myself through that.
But these aren't like it's not your typical zombie coming from like a virus or an animal or something, right? These zombies are caused by a fungus that takes over people's bodies and starts making them eat people.
Oh, I think I do know. Oh,
right. While it's still zombie trope-esque and based off a video game, this is actually a real thing that happens in nature, and there's a type of mushroom that does this. So
I was going to say, is that a mushroom?
It is a mushroom. So
I don't like mushrooms.
There's basis in reality here. So there's a type of mushroom or fungus. I guess this one's not really a mushroom. It's more of a fungus.
Well, isn't mushroom a fungus?
Mushrooms are fungus, but not all. All mushrooms are fungus, but not all fungus are mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
So there's a fungus, though, called cordyceps. And there's tons and tons of different types. So there are like mushroom-looking cordyceps that you can eat and everything. But this one that we're talking about is called Ophiocordyceps unilateralis.
Yeah, say that 10 times
No,
fast.
I probably said it wrong the first time. So this is
I can bet you did.
the scientific name of it, which street name is the...
I'll say, can we have the dumb version?
Yes, the zombie ant fungus.
Of course.
So
Oh, I know exactly what this is. Ooh.
It's so weird. Okay, so it has one goal, and that goal is to self-propagate. Does it in a really strange way by taking over the bodies of ants, spiders, wasps, even some large, like tarantulas, smaller critters. It's insane.
It's so disturbing looking.
So it is parasitic, and like any parasite, it finds its way onto its host, right? Like I said, insects, spiders, wasps, begins to drain its host of their nutrients before filling its body with its spores. So it like basically
it's so weird.
It's so weird because it takes over control of their body, and scientists for so long didn't know how it happened, and now we kind of have an idea.
I need to look at a picture of this while you're talking about it, because I know, but it's so... Everybody Google it right now.
Yes, it is horrifying looking. Like, it does look like something out of a movie or a game. But so it takes control of the brain of the insect, makes them seek higher ground, then it paralyzes them while still alive until it literally fills its body with as many spores as it can to spread it. So, like I said, we're not sure exactly how this happens, but a lot of researchers have a good idea. Some things that the fungus attacks proteins. So as it attacks the proteins, it causes them to constrict, which makes the muscles move. Others think that it actually grows right into the brain, and somehow this fungus takes over the brain and controls the body of the insect. What we do know for sure, though, is that as it's doing the spores, it's creating these roots that go deep down into the muscles of the bug and keeps it alive for a really long time while it's reproducing, and the bug just slowly crawls upwards.
You know, I don't know why this just came to my mind, but you know in Men in Black, I can't think of the little alien guy's name, but he's in the head of his host body, and he controls it with the little controls.
Yes.
That's what it makes me think of. It's just kind of riding.
Kind of like
and
Plankton. Doesn't Plankton do that to SpongeBob?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yes.
So... if this wasn't terrifying enough yet, once it's really full of spores, a chemical attack starts to happen inside that. So now it's no longer really living. It starts to die. And as it's dying, the entire body of whatever the prey is gets covered in this white, wispy mycelium material, which is mycelium is, what mushrooms grow underground to spread, until these large pinkish white mushroom-like growths burst from the exoskeleton. Ooh. And these large spindles start sticking out of it. It looks...
Yeah, I just looked at it.
But that's how it starts to spread the spores until those spores hit the next host, and it just continues the cycle over and over again. Now...
Yeah, that is really interesting how this all starts.
Right? Because, most people think it was a dead bug a long time ago, and then the spores, because fungus's primary goal is to break down organic matter and help decomposition. But it's one of the few funguses that do it while it's still alive.
Right. Ew, I hate it.
So there's over 600 kind of cordyceps around the world. A lot of them can do this in some sort of way or another, and people actually do eat cordyceps. It's also one of the few things that, not the few, there's a huge list, but you'll actually get in trouble if you travel with cordyceps mushrooms at all, because they don't want this spreading.
But you can eat it?
You can. Yep, so it's not dangerous, the mushroom.
Should you?
It is fine. So the reason that bugs and sometimes small reptiles and it's anything cold-blooded, they can really easily succumb to fungal infections because they need a certain level of humidity and certain temperatures. So thankfully, human bodies are way too warm for the fungus to reproduce inside of us. So if we inhale that or ingest it, any of the spores, they just die off really quickly. However, scientists are keeping their eyes on this. So just kind of like how certain viruses and bacteria are becoming resistant to our medicines, we're seeing fungus change too, and they're adapting over time to be able to live in different environments, and especially warmer environments. So like I said, it's not dangerous right now, but people are keeping their eye on these and other types of funguses that could eventually adapt to live inside of a human host spot.
Do you feel the most powerful and beautiful with the elements of the earth around you? Do you like one-of-a-kind jewelry? Do you sometimes feel like a woodland fairy? Me too. That's why I created Holly and Hemlock, a magical shop filled with handmade wooden jewelry and metaphysical tools. Come check out our enchanting wooden wares at www.hollyhemlock.com and join us in honoring the magic and beauty of nature with each unique creation. That's www.hollyhemlock.com.
It's just freaking me out of like how, I don't know. Mm-mm.
So
Okay.
that one and the last one we're going to talk about are probably like the truly most wild stories of how plants attack. But I got another fungus for you next. Are you ready?
I have to be.
Yes. This one's actually straight up mushroom. This is kind of funny because it's actually really, really like a super popular food. So it's an oyster mushroom.
Okay.
These are ones that a lot of vegans or vegetarians eat because you can kind of use them as a meat replacement, right? If you cook it right. I'm not a mushroom person. I like these, but they're used in all sorts of food. They're kind of found growing.
What was it? An oyster mushroom?
Yeah. Just kind of because they look like oysters, and they're usually the ones that kind of grow on trees. So it's in like fake forest kind of settings, you always have those like
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Okay.
But they're just one of the many types of mushrooms that are also considered to be carnivorous. So since the 1980s, we have known that they were, but just recently we figured out exactly how they eat their prey.
Okay, so you're saying that we've always known that they were, we just didn't know how?
Since the 80s, yep, we knew that they were somehow eating living organic.
How did we know that? Do you know?
Yeah, so they had been observed to make their kill.
Mm-hmm.
But like at the structural level, we didn't know how they were doing it.
Okay.
Until recently. So oyster mushrooms eat a tiny type of roundworm called a nematode.
A nematode?
Right?
That sounds so cute.
It is really cute. So they're really teeny. They're a few millimeters to actually they can get up to 2 inches. But they're complex organisms. They've got guts, nerves, muscles, like not like a bug. Like, I mean, I guess it's still a bug, but like it's not like a single cell organism that this thing is eating. Okay. So they also have their whole little lives ahead of them until they become some sort of fungal snack. So mushrooms live all over the world, right? They're kind of like that temperate environment, really temperate temperatures, and grow in dark places. Well, you know who else likes that? Nematodes. These guys even have like a whole nervous system. Like they're not like little like tiny. Oh, it's so sad. But nematodes actually live pretty much all over the world too in super high numbers. In fact, one of the strangest facts I found is that if you somehow dissolved the entire world, everything in it except for nematodes, you would be left with an Earth-shaped shell. So like you would still recognize the planet. Like that's how prolific these things are. They're absolutely everywhere, whether we know it or not.
Wait, repeat that to me again?
Yeah, so nematodes are so abundant on Earth that if you were somehow able to dissolve the entire Earth other than nematodes, you would still be able to recognize basically every structure that's not man-made because they live everywhere.
Ew.
Yes.
That's disturbing.
It's a little gross. So anyways, though.
I really hate that.
Right? And so like one of the weird things is, right, mushrooms usually break down dead and dying and decomposition, or they make decomposition happen. Okay.
Right.
But these guys, they're bugs alive. So we know it's some sort of poison that they used, but now we know exactly how it happened. So first, the little nematode will pass along the mushroom. If it walks on top of the mushroom, good to go. If it starts to walk underneath of it, where its roots hang down, the nematode's screwed. Well, the nematodes like to live in decaying wood, and the mushrooms grow on top of decaying wood, so they get quite a bit of them. So as it walks along the roots of the mushroom, it picks up a poisonous, to worms only, toxin that gets into their sensory organs. Basically, if you think about the roots, right, the toxin lives inside of, I saw it explained as an upside down lollipop. And the globe on it is called a toxocyst. So kind of like a fruit almost hanging down from the mushroom.
Yeah, I can envision what you're saying.
So when the worms move along it, the cyst bursts, the worm touches the poison inside, and it acts almost as like a nerve gas. Horrendous. Like the way these plants do it, it's like one thing to think about a mushroom eating insects. It's another to think about.
How do we just eat these things?
Right? Well, like I said, so it's toxic only to nematodes, which is also really weird. They cannot kill anything else.
That's so strange.
It does it because once the toxin gets inside their body, it reaches their neurons, their muscle cells, and disables the flow of ions across it, so electricity. It also for just nematodes makes it so that their cells can't like reuptake any calcium.
So do you know if like another bug was walking under it, would those things still burst? It just doesn't affect them? Or do they only...
So it bursts. But like, so
Okay.
I guess something about the way the nematodes move is by releasing calcium and then reuptaking it.
Okay.
And that allows them to move. So once now your cells release it, it becomes basically paralyzed. Once again, though, still very much alive, like our last little friend. But being that it can't reuptake the calcium, their cell walls start to basically fall apart. So what happens now is the entire worm starts to liquefy, basically from the inside out. And as it's paralyzed and breaking down, the oyster mushroom now takes its roots in these little tendrils and just starts injecting the worms everywhere to literally suck out its insides from the inside out as it dissolves, and it eats the whole thing. Like there's just nothing left when they're done.
How long does this process take? Do you know? Like, is it quick?
You know, that I don't know.
It's just wild.
I imagine, though, like, if we think about everything being relative, it might look really quick to us, but for that poor little nematode, man.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, are they just sitting there? I mean, I'm sure it takes a while.
For some reason, though, when I was reading about this one, all I could think of was, like, War of the Worlds. You know how, like, the tripods come and, like, suck up the humans and then start spraying the red stuff everywhere? I'm like, it's kind of oyster mushroomy.
It's so weird. Well, maybe I like the oyster mushrooms, though, because I don't want all those worms all over.
Right. But yeah, still, like I said, once again, just cold-blooded killers.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so I wanted to do at least one, like, super typical carnivorous plant. Didn't want to do the Venus flytrap. I think we all kind of know how those work and what they do. I wanted to do a pitcher plant because I
don't know if I know what that is.
So a pitcher plant is basically like exactly what you would picture. So it has a special leaf on it that looks like a lemonade pitcher.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I know what these are. They're really disturbing looking.
I think they're so beautiful. I want one really bad. I haven't tried a carnivorous plant though since my first one. I had a flytrap. His name was Philip J. Flytrap.
Oh God.
Gotta love the Futurama reference. I left him with my roommates though when I went to Electric Forest, and I asked them to take care of it. And when I came home, the wind had blown it off the porch and he was in the driveway, all dried up and dead. And I'm like,
oh,
come on.
That's really sad.
Okay, so like I said, I love fly traps. I could have talked about them, but I wanted to do these because I just always kind of assumed a pitcher plant, like a bug flies inside and drowns and that's it. These little things are kind of creepy, but...
They look creepy. I don't know what you think is beautiful about
Oh my God,
these.
they're so gorgeous.
Ugh.
Scientific name is anapthanes. They live in tropical areas, so they're found in Sumatra, Borneo, the Philippines, and other like rainforesty areas. 150 different kind of species, ranging from like the size of the tip of your pinky for the pitcher.
Oh wow!
All the way up to being able to hold gallons of liquid, like the size of your head.
Yeah, that's creepy.
So as the name implies, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, it looks like a pitcher, so it's kind of got like a bulbous base, a thin neck, and then a wider opening. But that opening is actually like the end of a long leaf. So it's not a fruit or anything. It's just like a really specialized leaf coming off the plant. Unlike, like the Venus flytrap that's got the moving parts, these guys sit perfectly still as it collects its prey. So here's how they do it. They are usually brightly colored, and they produce like a nectar around the rim of the pitcher that has a sweet smell to its unsuspecting victims, which can be anywhere from, once again, like little flies, bugs, spiders, up to reptiles, rats, and birds.
I was just going to say they get birds, don't
This
they?
thing, it can eat some big prey.
And it just like capture. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to tell you all about it. Okay. So prey lands on the rim to collect that sweet nectar. The insides of that rim are covered in a wax-like substance that's really slippery. And then it also has hairs that point in and down. So if you're thinking about that, it's slippery when you go down, but then if you're trying to climb back up, like those hairs
you can't.
They almost like close it off, right?
Okay, yep.
So once they're trapped inside and on the slippery leaf, the prey falls down inside into liquid that's collected inside the pitcher. They can't crawl back up. They can't fly away. They're trapped.
Is this liquid like just water, like rainwater and stuff, or do they produce liquid in there?
Good question. I'm going to tell you in the next sentence here. So the inside is called, and I'm really going to mess this one up, phototelemata is what the liquid is called.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So it's made up of collected rainwater, bacteria that comes in from like plants and the rainwater. And it's mixed with digestive enzymes that are secreted by the plant itself. Huh. It uses rainwater to almost create like an acid bath inside that can break down organic matter. So as the prey flies down into the liquid, it usually dies from exhaustion and drowning. So at least, unlike the last two, they dead before they start getting liquefied. But the liquid breaks down over time until all that's left are amino acids, peptides, phosphates, and ammonium suspended in the liquid, which then there's special organs in the plant that actually can take that out of the solution and then fertilize itself.
It's so freaking bizarre.
So the reason it needs to do this, and this one has to do it to survive, because they live in places where there's very little soil and like no nutrients in the ground. So like highly acidic, like marshes, swampy, rainforesty areas that just don't get a lot of good new nutrients, I guess. So they need to survive off of actual living critters that they collect. I think so that one I was talking about, some of those like the really big ones that can hold a gallon or more are so freaking large. Like they can kill like toads, rats, birds. I did see somewhere that even like if you were to leave your arm in one long enough, it would start to break down human flesh.
Why would you do that?
I mean, I'm not going to go test that theory out, but I thought it was a fun fact to share.
It's scary. There
are one species of this, though, that have, instead of a really damaging effect on the nature around it, they kind of have a little symbiotic relationship with a critter called the tree shrew.
Oh, those are those cute little, aren't they cute little things? Okay.
So remember how it wants to eat ammonia and phosphates and all those kind of things? You know it's high in ammonia and phosphates? Tree shrew poop. So tree shrews will actually use pitcher plants like nature's toilet.
That's so cute. It's their little toilets.
Right?
Well, how do they not fall in though?
So it's a smaller one. So basically the tree shrew can't fall in, but it's a big enough opening for its little poops to go.
Okay, so it just knows to only pick the little ones?
Yes.
Oh my god.
So yeah. So pitcher plant, cold-blooded killer, or nature's toilet. Your choice.
I think that's really cute.
The last one we're gonna cover, there's two types I want to talk about. So I want to talk about figs. And are you aware about how figs are carnivorous?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I've got a carnivorous one and I've got an herbivore one. Which one do you want to hear first?
Give me the one that's least.
Okay, so we'll start
traumatic.
We'll start with the herbivore one. So there's a type of a fig tree, which is also a ficus, called the strangler fig. So these live out in once again, kind of like rainforesty areas or really, really dense forest, right? So we're talking forests where if you look up, you're not seeing the sun because the canopy is so dense, okay? So like I said, this one doesn't kill other insects or animals, but it actually will kill its host tree that gives it life.
What?
Yeah, strangler figs start out as like a sticky seed high up on tree branches in those dense forests. And as they grow both up and downwards. So they shoot vines down and then these long tendril branches upwards.
Okay.
So they reproduce really quickly. But they do this, like I said, they start out on a branch. So their roots come down to the trunk, wrap around the trunk, sink into the ground. They're also at the same time sinking into its host tree. As they do this, they're dropping seeds left and right. So over time, the entire tree and all of its branches become completely encapsulated by the strangler fig. It then puts its branches out on top of the canopy to start collecting sunlight to grow even further.
This is so creepy.
It's so weird. So the host tree becomes completely entrapped while this fig is just sucking nutrients out of it to the point where that tree eventually dies. And sometimes if it was...
Ooh, I'm looking at it.
It looks like something out of like a Tim Burton movie.
100% does.
So as that tree starts to decay and die, right, the fig tree is just sucking all those nutrients out. So it goes away really quickly. And you'll sometimes see it looks like a hollow tree or like a ghostly tree because you can see where it
like
was.
A corpse of a tree or something.
Right.
Like an exoskeleton or something.
Other times you can't even tell there was a tree there because like it gets so dense that it just, all the vines of the strangler fig just replace the exact look of the tree that was there before.
Yeah, this is so wild.
Now, while they sound kind of awful, they're really ecologically important in tropical forest because those hollow centers are full of spaces that provide shelter and breeding sites for bats, birds, and other animals. In fact, they are considered a keystone species because they produce figs that feed things. They produce shelter, places for reproduction to happen in areas where like extra food and shelter is really scarce. So without the strangler fig, a lot of animals would actually die.
Do you know how long it takes to take over a full-grown tree? Probably still a long time.
Depends on the type of tree and the thickness of it, but they grow, they're really prolific, so they grow really, really quick.
Yeah. Ugh, creepy.
The last one, we're just going to do your straight up regular fig tree. Do you like figs?
Like a fig Newton?
A fig Newton would have figs in it, yeah.
Sure, they're all right.
Well, so figs are a fruit that are usually used for like desserts and stuff because they're really sweet, really tart. A lot of people like to eat them. Once again, if you're a vegan and you like figs, you might want to rethink that one. After doing this, I've just kind of decided fig trees in general are just kind of assholes, but also really, really weird. So figs, to start, aren't even a fruit. They're an inverted flower.
Okay.
It gets that hard outside from the leaves kind of getting really tough, and it grows almost like an exoskeleton. And the flowers bloom inside.
Oh.
They're, instead of petals, it's got this like fruity, fleshy material and all the seeds inside.
But they're just not considered a fruit.
Yeah, they're actually an inverted flower.
Interesting.
Okay, so basic science for you, right? Some flowers are male, some are female, and that's why we have pollinators, right? So bees help the female and the male plants cross-pollinate.
Yep. Keep the bees.
Right? So fig trees also need the help of pollinators, but there's one specific type of wasp that actually helps them breed called a fig wasp. So like we said, the fruit grows inside the tiny buds, they bloom inside, and there's vegetable tissue. So the flowers are always on the inside of these inverted flowers.
You mean the seeds? You just said the flowers are always on the inside of... Okay. I wanted to make sure.
The flower itself, where even before the seeds, before they're pollinated, it's inside like a capsule.
The leaf.
Yes. And it very tough outside.
Okay.
So the female fig wasp's only job is to go from male to female flowers and take pollen to help pollinate them.
Okay.
They need a lot of wasps because each fig wasp can only pollinate one flower.
Ever in their whole entire life?
So when a fig wasp lands on a male flower, she goes in. There's a little tiny opening. She has to wiggle her way through. She'll lay her eggs. And then grab the pollen, right? Starts feeding the pollen to the kiddos. However, that opening is really, really tight. So when she crawls in there, her antenna and her wings are ripped off.
Shut up.
Right? So she lays her eggs.
Then she dies?
Feeds the babies and then dies. Once she's inside, there's absolutely no way out.
What a horrible life.
Now, the little babies, they start chomping their way from the inside out through the fig. Now, remember, they still have their antenna, they still have their wings, which is why they can chew their way out. Okay. The male offspring mate with a female offspring, get her pregnant, and then they actually pretty much die right after. These wasps have terrible lives. They do this inside the plant actually before they chew their way out, and the males don't have wings, so they die inside the male plant while the winged ladies get to leave. So they take the pollen with them as they go, and they search for a new flower themselves. Now, if a female fig wasp goes into a female fig flower, because remember we talked about the male flower, same thing happens. Antennas are ripped off, the wings are ripped off, but there's so many more flowers and buds inside the female because that's what produced the seeds. There's actually no room for her to even lay her eggs.
So she did all that for nothing?
Does all of it for nothing but to pollinate the plant. So she's got no children to chew their way out, nothing. She's trapped inside. She dies inside the plant.
This is so upsetting to me.
But now the pollinated flowers get to begin to produce fruits and seeds, which produce your run-of-the-mill fig. Fruit is usually pretty highly acidic, and it also starts to release an enzyme that dissolves the wasp. The wasp's insides and nutrients feed the plant, become part of the fig itself. And this means that for every fig you've ever eaten or that's eaten around the world, there's a dead, dissolved wasp inside of there.
Interesting.
So every time you've ever eaten a fig, you've also eaten a wasp. The next time you do eat one and you got a little extra crunchy bit in there, just ask yourself, was that a seed? Or was that just a wasp's head you just crunched?
Poor wasps.
It's so weird because if you really break that down and think about it too, all these things we're talking about that are technically vegan are really not. They've eaten meat, and now you are too.
I mean, are they considered meat?
I mean, if we're going to break it down to the basic level, what's the difference between eating bugs and eating meat? Still a living organism, still feels.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But yeah, so that's the little story I had for you this week. Kind of short, kind of different, but that's the killer flora and fungus that inhabit this world.
That are probably going to take over and eat us eventually.
Right. So we covered 5 here? There's hundreds and hundreds of species of plants, trees, and different fungus that feed off of still living insects and animals.
That's why rainforests and stuff are so scary.
It's crazy to me because it's it makes sense. I always knew that fungus ate dead things, right?
Yeah.
Or, that plants, things turn into dirt and then they suck up the nutrients through that. But to adapt
but actually
to
killing.
these things, they go out of their way to straight up kill.
Yeah, that's really creepy.
Next time you go out for a hike, be on the lookout because it's only a matter of time before they become the apex predator and start gobbling you up on nature walks.
Is it mushrooms that sing?
I've heard that. So what it is, so they're...
I mean, I know it's not them singing, but it is mushrooms, right?
Yeah, so mushrooms put out mycelium, which puts out these huge networks on that go for miles and miles and miles. And they can start growing off of anywhere there. And then they spread their spores on top of the earth, which then, so they grow above and below ground. But those mycelium networks actually send electrical signals back and forth.
Mm.
And almost if you break it down, it looks like the neural networks of your brain. So they think they're actually communicating through that. Now it ties into trees and other things. So there are researchers who are looking to see how the forest is actually talking to each other because the trees can send electrical signals through the mycelium network and stuff too. It's really, really interesting stuff. If anybody's out there like me, you like to have a little gummy or edible before bed, put on a mushroom documentary. Your mind will be blown.
God. My mind's already blown. I don't need an edible and a mushroom documentary. This already freaked me out.
It's not our typical usual haunting paranormal.
It's
but
bizarre.
This is still an oddity, I think, for real.
Listen, it's bizarre.
The fact
really
that
is.
Oyster mushrooms, after they kill the nematode, they just start stabbing them over and over. The gruesomeness of how these plants kill is kind of insane.
It's just really weird because you would just never think that. All right, so instead of somebody commenting that I'm pretty, I need you to comment what plant you'd want to kill you.
Yeah, we want to know. If a carnivorous plant's taking you out, how do you want to go?
No, any plant. What plant would you want to kill you? Even if it doesn't typically kill.
Okay, that's an interesting twist on it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yikes.
And also ask your friends what plant they want to be killed by. And when they give you a really weird look, just be like, hey, listen.
Yes.
You should check out this podcast
hey,
I've
listen.
been listening to.
You should listen. Listen, you should listen.
Listen and listen.
And subscribe. Leave us a review.
Tell Kara she's pretty still, even though she asked you not to this time. I'll say it for her. But with that...
Creep it really, oddballs.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Oddity Shop.